So now that you know that Beyoncé is now confirmed a billionaire, are you willing to admit to yourself that she is now a part of the rich that indeed needs to be eaten?
Beyoncé is now the world's most recent billionaire. That's billionaire with a B. The music mogul and cultural icon is now joining the evil ultra 0.01%. And of course, lefties on the internet are not coping well. We're going to talk about this because I find it hilarious. And I actually think it's a good example that helps kind of debunk some of the rhetoric you hear from very mainstream left of center figures, from Bernie Sanders to AOC to beyond, that like billionaires shouldn't exist or there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. And while I certainly think some billionaires can be unethical, I totally reject that notion. I actually think Beyoncé is a great example of how you can absolutely be an ethical billionaire. Let's go over this reporting from the Washington Post that details how she became a billionaire with a B. So Beyoncé is officially a billionaire, according to Forbes, making her the third female musician in history to cross the threshold. She becomes the fifth musician in the magazine's Billionaire Club. Forbes said the release of the star's 2024 album, Cowboy Carter, and her accompanying tour, which was the world's highest grossing of 2025, fueled her 10-figure fortune, along with a sprawling business empire, music catalog, and new commercial opportunities from the genre-shifting record. So as you'll see, a huge portion, and I believe the majority, but at least a huge portion of the money that she's made has come directly from touring and her music, which means that she is providing something millions of people love, an amazing experience people are willing to pay for. The people, some people I'm friendly with are big Beyoncé fans. I think Amir Odom is, but they're basically, she makes people happy. They give her money and she employs people, generates economic activity, tons of tax revenue, and becomes a billionaire. It's what you might call like a win-win-win. There is no loser. Nobody, oftentimes when you hear angry leftists talk about economics, they act like it's a zero-sum game. They act like in order to make money, you have to take it from someone else, like steal. That's not actually how economics works in a free market society where people are voluntarily trading and engaging. Because if people were really being scammed by Beyoncé, they wouldn't buy the tickets. They wouldn't go to the tour and keep going back and back and back. So it's like she's clearly doing something people love and then making money off of it. But we're supposed to just be scandalized by that because numbers big, because billionaire has a B, right? It's like, it's just a demonization of wealth and success that's driven by class envy, I think. Anyway, more details here from the Washington Post. The Cowboy Carter tour grossed more than $400 million in ticket sales, according to trade publication Polestar. Forbes estimated she made $50 million from merchandise sold at the shows. The star's 2023 Renaissance World Tour grossed more than $579 million, and her 2016 Formation World Tour more than $320 million, the Washington Post reported. There's some astronomical numbers. Meanwhile, in December 2024, Beyoncé performed live during halftime at Netflix's first Christmas Day NFL game, earning her an estimated $50 million, Forbes said, noting that she also capitalized on the country album's aesthetic to bring in $10 million through Levi's commercial. So, wow. $50 million for a halftime show is, and it's not even the Super Bowl, is crazy work, but good for you. I mean, the fact that they're willing to pay it means that they think that she will bring in enough attention and enough branding to justify that price tag. And I'm sure they don't do that lightly. So Forbes estimated that Beyoncé earned $148 million this year before taxes, making her the third highest paid musician in the world. The magazine also cited her company, Parkwood Entertainment, as a key to her financial success. The business produces her music, documentaries, and concerts, giving the star in-house control over her empire. She stopped being managed by her father in 2010, saying, when you get to this point in your career, you don't have to go sign with someone else and share your money and your success. You do it yourself. So, guys, I think you get the idea. But to me, they talk about there's no ethical billionaire. I'm not seeing the bad part here. I'm seeing an amazing, talented woman having massive success, generating huge economic opportunities for thousands of other people through working at all these different venues and these companies that she's doing deals with and making millions of people happy while enriching herself. But we're supposed to believe it's a problem and evil and bad just because big numbers exist. And I'm going to go through more of this backlash, but I'll just play a video from TikTok of somebody ranting about how Beyonce is a billionaire and billionaires are bad. And then I'll kind of give you my response to some of these notions as we go along. Let's take a look at that.
So now that you know that Beyoncé is now confirmed a billionaire, are you willing to admit to yourself that she is now a part of the rich that indeed needs to be eaten? Because she, alongside Selena Gomez, are two billionaires who continually get the pass from you guys, as if they're somehow exempt from the same critique that we give to the likes of Jeff Bezos or even Elon Musk. Now, don't get me wrong, I am aware that Beyoncé, in comparison, is one of the more ethical billionaires because her wealth largely comes from her creative labor, her brand building, in comparison to her really being in exploitative industries like Elon Musk. But Beyoncé's business empire still largely relies on global supply chains, luxury branding, and of course, a large concentration of her wealth that she has absolutely no plan in redistributing anytime soon. And on top of that, any ethical actions that she has taken, if any, is really just selective and voluntary. It's not structural or binding in any sense of the way. But again, this is not to push past her talent. We all know why she's the queen for a reason. But being iconic doesn't automatically make you exempt, or doesn't automatically mean that you can accumulate that amount of wealth and still automatically be seen as ethical.
So I don't think she needs to automatically be seen as ethical, but I think if you're asserting that she's unethical, you have to prove why. And you have to show who she's hurt. Simply her being successful is not a crime and is not immoral in any way. What's more, actually, they don't understand fundamental economic realities. So, for example, the fact that when people generate this kind of massive wealth for themselves, they also generate just exponentially more wealth for other people, for customers, employees. So whether it's Amazon and Jeff Bezos, and you think about the trillions of dollars of economic value he's created for others, or in this case, Beyonce, through all her companies and everything, and the people they've employed and the communities they've generated revenue and economic growth into, it's not something that only she's gotten rich off of. And also, they don't understand that billionaires don't hoard all their money in a vault. It's not like they're just depriving the world of all these resources. Most of it is reinvested in the economy. Even money that you put in a savings account is then loaned out through investments by a bank. It's not as if, oh, they're just hoarding all this wealth while people starve. First off, a lot of the wealth is just stock valuations. Then the actual money they have is either being spent, a lot of it's being taxed and redistributed already. I'm sure she's paid an insane amount of taxes, but it's either being spent at somebody's job, at somebody's place of employment and stimulating the economy that way, or if it's being invested or saved in some other form. This idea of billionaires hoarding wealth is not really a thing and is mostly mythology. But it wasn't just a few people on TikTok. There was viral tweet after viral tweet bashing Beyonce just for being successful. So here's one tweet. Of course she will reach billionaire status. She rewarded her tour employees a signed picture of herself instead of money or check. Beyonce is the epitome of unethical billionaire. Now, I don't know, maybe she did give them a signed picture of herself, which, by the way, would probably be worth a lot of money if they wanted to sell it. But also, I'm sure they were, in fact, getting money or checks, or they wouldn't have shown up, because people don't work for free. Anyway, more tweets. This bitch used a sweatshop for her Ivy Park in Sri Lanka and paid them 0.44 euros a day. That's not true. The screenshot he attached says that they were paid, I'm sorry, that's pounds, not euros, I think, 4.3 pounds per day, which is equivalent to, I think, $6. But regardless, or a little more than $6, this is a tiny, just these revenue lines. The one he's referring to is defunct, no longer even does it. But this was a tiny piece of her wealth. This wasn't the main revenue form. And there's actually nothing wrong with paying low wages in countries that have very low average incomes and low costs of living. So it makes sense. And the real question is, are you paying them a fair wage relative to what the average wage is in that country? And are you giving them an opportunity that's better than any other opportunity they have? And the answer to that is surely yes, or they wouldn't have taken the job. They would have done something else instead. And so if you're paying these people $6 a day, that might sound outrageous based on US cost of living and wages, but you have to consider it in the context of Sri Lanka, not just take it totally out of context to demonize people. But he didn't even bother to get the number correct, so what does he care? Billionaires shouldn't exist. Yes, this includes black ones too. I said what I said, from a rainbow emoji and bio person. I'll give you credit at least for consistency on that one. It would be weird, though I guess not surprising, if woke people were like, billionaires shouldn't exist, but the black ones can stay. That'd be kind of insane. Anyway, you get the idea, but I just find all this hate kind of ridiculous. She's obviously an amazing talent, and she's built this business empire that has been a net positive for the world. And if anything, Beyoncé is an example of an ethical billionaire, even though we've been reliably told those absolutely can't exist. What do you guys think, though? You'll have to let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and all of that.